White people have never been a majority. Anywhere. Ever. White supremacists love to claim that white people are a default majority in certain regions and are now being replaced. The truth? White people have never been a global majority. Not even in Europe. Not even in the US. Not even at the peak of their global dominance. At every point in recorded human history, the majority of people have been from Africa, Asia, and the Americas. Not from Europe. In the ancient world, the largest populations were always in China, India, and Africa. After 1500 CE, even during European colonial expansion, Asia alone had more people than Europe, Africa, and the Americas combined. Today, white Europeans and their descendants only make up about 11 to 12% of the world's entire population. There's never been a time in history when white people were even close to being a majority. Even within Europe itself, white as an identity is a modern invention, and different groups fought and defined themselves more by class, religion, and culture than by race. Ancient Europe was a mix of Celtic, Germanic, Slavic, Middle Eastern, and Mediterranean influences. Southern Europe, Italy, Greece, Spain, and Portugal, has always been heavily mixed with African, Asian, and Middle Eastern influences. The Ottoman Empire controlled much of Southern and Eastern Europe for centuries, integrating people from Turkey, North Africa, and the Balkans. The idea that Europe was ever a racially homogeneous white homeland is pure fiction. White supremacists claim that the US was originally a white nation. The truth is, indigenous people were the majority for 13,000 years before white settlers arrived. The US was built on stolen land, with a population of African slaves making up a significant portion of early American labor. Mass European immigration in the late 1800s and early 1900s artificially increased the white population. The 1790 Naturalization Act restricted citizenship to free white persons, specifically to inflate white numbers. White people only became a numerical majority in North America because of land theft, genocide, and racist immigration policies. Despite European colonial rule, Latin America was never majority white. Spain and Portugal ruled, but never whitened the continent. They intermarried with indigenous and African peoples, creating a racially mixed society. Most of Latin America today is mestizo, mixed indigenous and European descent, or Afro-Latinx. Even Argentina and Chile, often considered the whitest Latin American countries, have significant indigenous and non-European ancestry. At no point has Latin America ever been majority white. It's always been majority indigenous, black, or mixed race. South Africa and other white settler colonies were never white majority. In South Africa, white settlers ruled under apartheid but were never more than 10% of the population. In Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, the British and Afrikaners held political dominance but never numerical majority. In Kenya, Algeria, and other European colonies in Africa, whites controlled the economies and government but were always a tiny fraction of the population. White rule was based on military dominance, not numbers. During the height of European colonialism from the 1800s to the early 1900s, white Europeans controlled vast territories but never outnumbered the people they ruled. The British Empire, the largest in history, ruled over 400 million people, most of them South Asian, African, and Middle Eastern. The French Empire controlled huge areas of Africa and Indochina, but never outnumbered the locals. White supremacists like to claim they're being replaced, but they've never been a global majority, so how can they be replaced? Non-white populations are simply growing because of normal demographics. White birth rates are declining due to social and economic factors, not some kind of conspiracy. White people aren't being replaced. They were never the world's dominant population to begin with. Cope.